Do you know what I love about March? The birds singing, the green grass, the trees coming up and all that, and Mother Nature. We once again have a day where yesterday was okay, just rainy, and today is absolutely covered in snow again. But the birds are singing because they're bitching about it being cold, and yeah. So needless to say, we're going to be working in the garage again today. Yeah, we're going to be working in the garage today, as I said. But we're going to be using just a little cheapy orbital sander. I got a bunch of pads for this. They're real dirt cheap. Come in a little box, like, where is it? This. I have a ton of them. These are 80 grit. And it should fly by pretty quick. I'm not going to film me doing this because I don't know how to do the whole music overlay thing, kill off the sound. And it's going to be an annoying sound for you guys to hear, so I'm not really going to film myself doing it. Not to mention, in full honesty, if you don't know how to sand, especially with like an orbital sander, grab yourself a flat piece of wood and run across it a few times. You'll realize just how boring it is. And if you want to do something interesting, grab a Louisville Slugger bat, take all that nasty lacquer and crap off that, and you'll get the idea how to do a round. Then turn around and put that thing in some nice tung oil, coat it with it, and then turn around and coat it with some lacquer. You'll have a beautiful bat, popping grains and all that, and you'll get an idea of what I got to do, only in a smaller area. You know, before we were talking about yesterday, or last video actually, I turned around and talked about my heart wasn't in it. Let me explain what I meant by that. Have you ever went to work and just didn't feel like being there? So you turned around and you just kind of half-assed it all day. Didn't really do much. Didn't really work as best as you could. And it showed in your work. Well, it's what it means to not have your heart in something. You've also heard the term, I'm sure, it's a labor of love. Well, that's what this is. This isn't for anybody. I don't have a deadline. This is a labor of love. This is me working pretty decently hard with simple tools on something I'm going to beat the crap out of. But you know what? It's also something that if I had children, it could be passed down to them and to their children and to their children's children. You know what I mean? Where, since I don't have kids, this will be found in a Goodwill or something, or in a garage sale. But either way, it's going to outlive me. And it's something that could be a great conversation piece. It's something that would turn around and it's something I can be proud of. And that is really what having your heart in something is all about. Is at the end of the day, are you proud of what you did? Can you look back on your day and say, yeah, I earned this meal. Yeah, I turned around and I put my all into that, and it's something I truly love. That is the difference between having your heart in something not. Now, I'm going to set up the tripod, and I'm going to show you why my heart is into different kinds of woodworking. I do all kinds of woodworking. I tinker in Japanese woodworking, which is no glue, no screws, no nails, just the wood holding itself together and looking absolutely beautiful with some joints. And I turn around and do other things. I CNC cut out flags. I turn around and I've made tables. I've made shelves. I've made all kinds of different stuff. The whole thing is, you don't need to go to school for it. You don't need to study or anything like that all that much. Grab yourself a hunk of wood and see if it's for you. See if you're just as excited to turn around and uncover all the different character and all the different beauty that there is. As I said, I was going to set up the tripod and let's pop some grains of some more of this oil, huh? Let's see what she looks like. I'm excited to see what these different grains and stuff do. I know it's not going to look much different to a lot of people who aren't really into that. But I just want to see the grains. They excite me. For some people, it's fast cars with that roar and the cackle. Some, it's even the cackle of the muffler going pop, 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 pop. For me, it's seeing what the grains do. It's seeing what character you bring out in the piece you're working with. To me, that's where the passion comes in. That's where the heart comes in. Is seeing where and what you're bringing to this world and what you're creating. Old furniture, when they use the different lacquers and the tung oil. Cutting boards, when they use the wax and the mineral oil to make the grains pop. Even a simple dining room chair. Those are what excite me. Those are what's beautiful. Because you brought out that nature, you know? You turn around and you expose those grains. I mean, look at that. You exposed all that. Just with your hands, patience, and time. I mean, even the knot holes. Even the different knot holes. They just... Everything about this pops and sings. You know what I mean? I don't know how else to say it, how else to express it, how else to try to convey just how beautiful that is. I mean, these grains tell a story. The tighter grains, they tell about growth, but they also tell about lack of water at times. If you look at the rings in the end, this is heartwood. This is when the tree began. This was an itty bitty little thing right here when it was growing, and this started to sprout outward. These grew out more. This area right in here, where it began storing water. These areas right through here, storing more water. And you can tell it had a really big growth spurt right in here, like where it started to get more and more water. You can see it. And things like that. You turn around and you look on the other side, and you see what I'm talking about, you know? Those are the things that I thoroughly enjoy bringing out in the wood. And I enjoy the story the pieces tell. Because, like, this was going to be a huge, huge branch. It was working on it. I mean, it has two branches right there. It had one coming up towards this way. It was branching out. Bad pun. This right through here, that base, that was going to be, I mean, it took winds. So it was building up around it. It was building up muscle. That's what these fibers are. It's really just muscle on the tree. This right here is building up muscle around the base. It was turning around. It built up really good. This right in here, really nice thick branch. You can look at a piece of furniture. You can look at a piece of wood. You can. There's a story there, and it's a story that no one or nothing else can tell, but the tree that you're using a piece of. This right here, this whole thing was a branch off a mulberry tree. And when it's not as snowy, I'll show you that mulberry tree because it's sitting right next to my garage. Every spring, the mulberries, birds absolutely love them. They crap on my cars. It's kind of a love-hate relationship with that tree, really. But I can't help it. I love this stuff. And I hope that with these videos and talking and everything, I hope that you can find something you can love. Even if it's not in woodworking, I hope you can find something that you're just as passionate about. Alright, we're back just maybe a minute later from that last little smidge. Let's turn around and get this thing roughly the length by turning around and cutting off some of this that we're working with. And in order to do that, what we're going to turn around and do is figure out how much we need. I want to keep this knot right in here. But let's turn around and mark off that area to turn around and be cut off a little bit. Probably not going to do that part now. We only need about 2 hands for the actual striking distance. Another hand roughly for the handle. And about, I'm going to say 3 fingers more for the curving between the two and the decorative bit at the end. So let's say about 3 more. So right in here, we're going to mark off that bit to cut off. And I'll see you in a minute. And I'm going to turn around and cut these. But I wanted to show you how I'm figuring out the length. I didn't turn around and look up anything online or anything like that. I'm going by what I want and what I need. This is for me. This is a hammer that's strictly for me. What a carving hammer does is you take, and it's just a piece of wood. It's a little light. And you just turn around, tap, 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 against the back of your chisel. So that way you're not taking a big ball peen hammer or something like that to it. And it gives you a bit more control because it's lighter. And you can do light little taps. So I'll be back in a second. I'm going to saw this up. I'm not going to bore you and saw it right here on camera. Alright, I went ahead and cut off the end. Then turn around and I struck a line all the way around. Turn around and show where I'm going to have the handle. For about this distance right here, there's going to be a curve that is going to go in. And then I'm going to curve these upper corners. That's why I wanted that line there. Just turn around and give me an area that I'm going to be curving. When you get done, you just set it down like so. And when you want to pick it up, you just turn around and grab it. Tap, 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 tap. Set it back down. Tap, tap. You know. So yeah. We're going to start thinning out this down to a holdable, manageable, something that I can actually close my hand around. Now we're going to take and we're going to curve this down to meet it. As I said, about 2 fingers. We're going to curve into it to turn around and meet it. Maybe even taper. I don't know yet. We'll see what looks better. But yeah, it's going to come along and it's going to start taking shape now. I think we've hit all decent good wood. Actually, let's test that. Let's test that, and let's do that on camera right now. We'll take this, and we'll take, let's see here. That's something that will be easily found in a garage. You know what, let's just take this clamp. Clamp, just a bench clamp. This metal part right here. Smacked it. It's not really leaving that big of marks, which means this wood is going to actually be decent. Especially once I get it all prepped with oil and tongue oil and everything else. Should get a little bit more rigid even. So, yeah. As far as the chunk I cut off, that's how much I cut off the back end. Not very much, but it's enough that I don't have to work with it anymore. So yeah, let's turn around and start getting this handle a little bit smaller so that way we have something manageable to deal with there. And how I'm probably going to do it, it's probably going to be a bit of chiseling. We'll see how it goes. You know, it kind of came to mind that I didn't explain how we're going to turn around and figure out the size for this handle. Now, you know it's going to go in my hand and everything like that, so dig around. Look around, find something that fits your hand. This old ball bearing I have fits just about right. Fits just about the way I want this to fit in my hand. Now, what I'm going to do is use it as a rough sizing bit. Turn around and figure out roughly where I want it. And I'm going to turn around and strike a line all the way around it with the pencil. And I'm going to try to chisel about a pencil's width all the way around from that area. I'm going to chisel it down to here. Also, what I'm going to do is I'm going to figure out how deep, and I'm going to turn around and cut along this area with a saw, just a little bit, to turn around and give this wood an area to break from, so that way when I'm chiseling, I can turn around and it has a break point, so that way it's not going all the way up my piece of wood. So I saw around here, just a little bit, enough to break the grain, and I chiseled down across here. I'll turn around and try to set up the tripod. I'm not guaranteeing I'm going to get a good shot, but you don't want to go all the way up to your mark right away. You want to work into that, because these grains don't run perfectly straight all the way down it. If you look, this grain right here is a prime example. It's going at a curve. This whole thing was working with wind and trying to fight different things and trying to get as much shade or as much sunlight as it could. So it's not growing perfectly straight. No wood ever grows perfectly straight. If you find a piece of wood that has perfect straight lines, it ain't wood. It's probably bamboo or something. But I mean, bamboo is wood, but it's different. It's not the same, and even that has curves. But if, as you see, this is curving. This whole thing kind of curves in here quite a bit. So what I want to do is I want to give this enough area to turn around and be able to break all the way down and not get to the point where not get to the point where I'm into the area that I want to be. I want to be outside that area so I have room to work inward. Nice and carefully. Alright, I sawed my line all the way around. And now what we're going to try to do is I'm going to see if I can't, what they call, pare this down a little bit on camera. Should be fun. Using my light that came with that kit. What I did to turn around and figure out the depth was I sawed it. But what I did was I compared how deep I wanted it. So I went up to the line that I have up here. Pretty close, not terribly far away. And I marked with a pencil. And then I went down that depth right in here, and I kept doing that all the way around to roughly where I wanted it. So all the way through, it has it. This is a 2-inch, this is just 2-inch chisel. Now, you might not have a 2-inch chisel, so just use what you have. If you have a 3/4 chisel, use that. I mean, 3/4 chisels come with a lot of sets. 1-inch chisels come with a lot of the sets. And we're not going to try to take the whole bite at once. We're going to take little bits. So, that's coming free on the vise. So we'll tighten up a little bit. I hope this vise has enough oomph to hold this. And actually, I should probably be working this way. So that way I'm against one of the jaws. Just turn that just a little bit so you can see. See, I'm not going in the full depth that I want. The full depth that I want is about here. But we're just going to pare off a little bit at a time. And this vise might not have the oomph to do it. Bit into. See? Let me see if I can't find that piece. Oh, hell. That ain't it. Well, that piece went down here someplace. I can't find it right now. But as you can see, it broke at the line where I wanted it to. And then we come in over here. A little bit more. Let's see if I can pop this. Grains of wood. It's like cutting straws. So, yeah, it's pretty dense. But you're just going to pare down a little bit at a time. Excuse me. For some reason I have like burp, hiccups, weird things. Just pare down a little bit at a time. A little here, a little there. It's not taking a lot. As you can see, right here's the saw line. Coming close to it. You don't have to stop. You can actually pare all the way down. I'm trying to catch these pieces so you can see them. If the wood and the vise would turn around and cooperate, it'd be beautiful. You see, it's breaking right along that score line. You want to do that so that way you're not going all the way down through your hammer or through whatever you're doing. So you just kind of pare down to what you want. And that's what I'm going to be doing this whole time. I'm not going to make you watch me do the whole thing, but you get the general idea. Alright, another thing is, let's say you don't have the best chisels in the world, not the strongest, you're kind of worried about them. Another thing you can do, get close to your line. And saw. Just make sure you're doing it nice and straight. It's not as fast. It's not super fast at all. But it gets there. And then once you're down a little ways, this has a back rib on it, so I can't go all the way down. Turn around and just kind of saw the point we're at. Is a little bit further down than I thought it was. Where's that saw mark? There it is. Let go. I'm just going to take this and pop it. It's like less than an 1/8 inch. And you can take decent sized chunks, come all the way down and kind of pare it the same way. Just using saw. We'll do it again. Take the saw, come over here now. I don't know if you ever did it in elementary school or primary school or whatever you want to call it, but line art. You can turn around and you can make circle lines. Now it takes a lot of lines, but like I told you when you're planing, you can turn all these straight lines into nice curves as long as you give yourself enough room to work. I'm sorry about shaking the camera. This is not a fancy saw by any means. You can use any saw. You could use cord push saw. This happens to be a Japanese pole saw, which means it cuts on the pole stroke. Just something I prefer. Go across like this. Once we start getting a little closer, boom. You could even take a small screwdriver, come in here once you get close. You could even take a small screwdriver, like I said, and just kind of get in there. A couple little taps, boom. You're down to that depth, and you can work your way all the way down. Or if you're feeling pretty confident on your saw, you can come all the way down to begin with. As I said, this has a rib on it, so I can't come down that far. But I figured I'd show you there's multiple techniques to get to where you... Wow, I didn't even realize that the camera was away. Sorry, it jiggled when I was sawing. But as I said, there's multiple ways to get to the same technique, or multiple techniques to get to the same place. So, like I told you, don't let your limitation of tools bother you. There. Now you're not on the actual piece. that I'm sawing on. So you're on your own little thing, so you're not going to be shaking. This ain't my Japanese pole saw. That's this baby. But I'll show you. I'm not as versed with these, and right now I don't have the arm strength that I would normally have. But get a couple nice straight register marks. And start sawing in there. Make sure you're cutting straight. Otherwise you're going to have a tapered handle. Once you get down to the point, I'm not going to saw my handle, thank you very much. But once you get down to the point where you think you want to be, or where you know you want to be, where you marked up, turn around and get in there. Another couple register marks. Now I've heard people say you shouldn't drag your saw like this, but you know what? People have been doing it for hundreds of years like that. Who am I to argue? Nice, careful sawing. You don't have to take super lot. And as I said, you can take a screwdriver, turn on popper. I did not grab a screwdriver, did not think about it. Go in there. Just pop it loose. Now, I technically should be working towards me. I don't get why the video keeps stopping at 2 minutes. Sorry about that. Luckily, I checked before I got this piece popped. Yeah, it's holding like right in here. A little bit right in here. This piece wants to break off. But you're getting a general idea. Alright. Just be patient. Don't lose your temper. The minute you start losing your temper on something like this, the minute you turn around and scrap out hours of work. Just stay patient. Stay true to what you're doing. And do just work with it. Be careful with it. Screw this. Well, that's coming out of place. Always snug up your vise. Last thing you want to do is be bending over 100 times, turn around, pick up something that's annoying, huh? No, that's gonna just be a pain in the neck. Check the time on that. Alright. This is kind of what we ended up with. I have about a pencil's width right here yet. I came closer with these because I was sawing instead. So I came a lot closer. But, yeah. This kind of stuff right in here, real easy to clean up. I don't know if you've ever heard the term paring, but in the next video, we'll be going over paring and how to get this more rounded and able to be a better handle. But yeah, I might clean up this a little bit off camera, of course. Clean up this just a little bit more, get it a little closer, so that way when we're pairing, we're actually coming down closer to what we want. But as you can see, our circle still isn't touched. So yeah, I hope this was a bit more of an eye-opener for you, and a bit more enjoyable to see me actually do some of the work instead of just hearing updates. Well, enjoy.